What is going on, YouTube? It's Tyler from Mission VR, where it's my mission to bring you guys good quality VR content. So today I got a little bit of a different video coming at you guys, and that is because of all the success and all the views you guys are giving my channel. It's allowing me to have some opportunities that I necessarily didn't have before, and today's video is an example of that. Today we're going to be reviewing an Oculus Quest 2 Gunstock that I got in order to review, and if you're not familiar with Gunstocks, well, it kind of adds an extra layer of immersion, especially when you're playing shooters. And I'm going to be talking about all the different applications that this Gunstock is good for, which games are best for the pros versus cons, and basically just doing a full review of the Gunstock. So if you're interested in purchasing this at the end of the video, I will link it in the description. And with that being said, we also now here at Mission VR have a sponsor, and today's sponsor is vrfinal.com, which is a VR news site. And if you're interested in keeping up with what's going on in the realm of virtual reality, you can head over to vrfinal.com, which I will link in the description, and check out all the different articles that are on that website. It's a growing website, so definitely be sure to check that one out. Without further ado, let's go ahead and hop on into this review. Alright guys, so first up we are going to start with pros versus cons, and I do want to start with the cons as I like to get the negative out of the way first, and there's not a ton of negative to do with this Gunstock, but more so with just Gunstocks in general. And if you're not familiar with a Gunstock, basically it's a rig to mount your controllers to something that feels like you're actually holding a gun, that has a little bit more weight to it, and can certainly allow you to aim a lot better in shooter games. Now, all that, aiming and more extra realism is awesome, and it does allow you to definitely aim, especially longer range weapons a lot more efficiently, but there are definitely some drawbacks to this mechanic. And the first con I have with this particular Gunstock, and I wouldn't even say it's just this Gunstock, it's more just all Gunstocks in general, is it just takes a little bit of time to reload because, the magnetized controllers, you have a headset on and it's difficult to see exactly whenever you finally put the mag in, you charge your gun and then you go ahead and you try to get the other controller mounted back on the rail, and sometimes you're sitting there just jiggling it around until it finally goes. And that's just, common in a Gunstock because you're just, you can't see what you're doing. So it takes some getting used to on, the feel of it. And I guess the other part of this is in certain games, there are virtual or in physical Gunstock settings where you can actually match up a certain weapon to the exact stock you're using, which I did find to be helpful. But, if you're like me and you're playing a multiplayer shooter, you sometimes want to jump around from gun to gun, and this makes it pretty much impossible to do. In particular, I had a very difficult time in Contractors moving and using any other gun unless I turned the physical Gunstock setting off, which then created some other issues, but it was, still manageable. That being said, another con this one is this particular Gunstock, is just the way it's designed. There's, right in front of the back controller where your hand would be on the trigger, there's a big plastic piece here, which is nice and it looks nice on the aesthetic, but there's certain weapons that sometimes the magazine goes right into that spot, so you end up hitting hit with your other controller whenever you're reloading. This isn't the case in most weapons, but I did find, like in Onward, an example, the MK18, I tend to hit it. Any of the American style AR rifles, definitely the magazine was pretty much right where that plastic piece is. Now there's ways around this. It's not the end of the world, but it's definitely something to consider with this style of Gunstock. The only other negative that I really noticed with this, and I wouldn't even call it a negative, is it's just a small thing, is that my back controller mount is slightly off-center to the left, and it's just like an OCD thing. I just kind of annoys me, and I think it's probably just the 3D printing. Does it make it unusable? Absolutely not. It doesn't even feel like it in VR, but it's just a little aesthetic thing, I guess, that I can complain about. Like I said, there's not a ton of cons with this Gunstock. I think that just using Gunstocks in general has its own feel and place in shooters. Alright guys, so next up we have the pros with the Deadshot Elite Oculus Quest 2 Gunstock. And first thing I want to do is talk about just the overall feel of the Gunstock. And yes, this is a big pro for me. It's a nice, sturdy piece of equipment. It's not something that's going to be flimsy or easily bust or break. And yes, when you're in virtual reality, there are times where you're resting the buttstock really hard on your shoulder as you're trying to, shoot an enemy. So I was a little bit worried and concerned that, hopefully the buttstock wasn't going to snap on me, you know, because a lot of times these things are just 3D printed plastic. Now, the Deadshot Elite has 3 metal rods that keep it pretty sturdily put together, and the 3D printed plastic is nice and hard, and it's not flimsy or really breakable at all. I would take definitely some effort to break this overall Gunstock. Another nice positive is just the aesthetic of it. I like that it's not just some rods where you shove a controller in and have, you know, a buttstock rest. It actually kind of resembles a little bit of a gun, which I know it doesn't really matter because I can't see it when I'm playing the game, but it's just a little thing that I definitely would prefer to have something a little bit more like this. The controller mounts are definitely sturdy once you get them mounted. Something I did like, I was nervous, and the back controller actually can hold up the gun without having to have the front controller. It, you know, still makes you a little nervous, but it's still overall pretty good and solid, sturdy design. The other nice positive about this particular Gunstock is just the overall immersion factor. It has a little bit of weight to it. The 3 metal rods give it a little bit of weight, which can certainly feel like, you know, when you're in virtual reality, you're actually holding a gun. And I really, you know, enjoyed that feeling, and it's something I would, you know, definitely want to do in more simulation based type games, is to be able to hold this and make it feel like I'm actually having a gun in my hands, and definitely makes up for that. Another really nice pro to Gunstocks just in general is just the sheer ability to aim so much better, and in Onward in particularly, I was able to snipe without even having to have the bipod up or laying down. I was able to just start neeking targets from across the map, which is a lot of fun. So being able to snipe a little more efficiently is pretty fun. You know, I didn't really struggle too much with other guns, you know, outside of that, but sniping without a bipod was definitely very difficult, and the Gunstock makes it pretty much dead nuts on. All you have to do is put that scope on them and pull the trigger. So if you're into sniping, I actually really recommend playing with a Gunstock. Alright guys, you're probably like, content? What kind of content would be with a Gunstock? I want to discuss really the types of games that Gunstocks in general are good for. And I've tested this on, you know, 3 of the major virtual reality shooters, being Contractors, Onward, and Zero Caliber, and I really found that Contractors was a lot tougher to play with this, just because of the run and gun Call of Duty style of gameplay. The more you have to reload, obviously the more you get hampered by a Gunstock, just because of the absolute nature of Gunstocks in general. You know, it is an object and it feels good and you can aim a lot better, but when you have to reload almost after every kill like Contractors does, you know, it's that Call of Duty style where you're constantly reloading. It becomes difficult because now you're sitting there, you're trying to jiggle it on to, you know, get your controllers back on, you know, moving and switching, it becomes a challenge. Now, switching from your primary weapon to your secondary weapon is pretty easy since I have a sling on mine. I would definitely recommend getting a sling if you are going to get one of these, and you can pretty much just pull your controllers off, you know, let the weapon fall to your torso, and then pull out your sidearm, which would be no different than like if you were using your free controller. So switching weapons is not really a problem, but again, like I said, if you're playing a fast-paced game like Contractors, it's really difficult to do all this in a timely manner, you know, fast enough for you not to get killed. So I would recommend probably not playing this with Contractors. Now, on the other hand, Onward, yes, can be super competitive, but it's just a little bit slower paced, and you don't need to reload as much, and you're able to kind of keep your hands on the gun for most of the match. And if you do have to reload, yeah, you're going to have to slow it down just a little bit, but you're not going to be super hampered, and I found that Onward probably was the best application for this. Now, Zero Caliber also worked pretty well, but that's just because it's a single player game, and really I wasn't in a hurry or trying to be super competitive. You know, if I get swarmed, it is what it is. You know, I'm not trying to win the match or anything like that. So in Zero Caliber, it also worked really well, and it definitely adds that extra sense of immersion, which I really liked, and it felt really nice to be able to actually kind of feel what it felt like to hold a gun in virtual reality. Well guys, that is it for this video. I hope you guys found my review of the Deadshot Elite Oculus Quest 2 Gunstock helpful, and again, if you are interested in Gunstocks, this is a great option for you. I really have enjoyed my uses of this. Again, I'm not a huge fan of just like some of the rods that people, you know, put together. It just doesn't give you that same feel. This actually does feel like you're holding a gun in virtual reality, and I really did enjoy that. And the drawbacks on it are so minimal. You know, yeah, there's some things, but most of the drawbacks are things you're going to experience with every single gun stock, and not being able to see what you're doing outside of the headset is just a lot of the problems that you have, but it's not a huge issue, and once you get used to using it, it feels really nice to be able to have a gun stock, and man, you really definitely can aim a lot easier. With that being said, make sure you guys check out vrfinal.com, as that is a new sponsor to our channel, so check that out for news if you're looking for virtual reality related news, and make sure you guys drop a like on this video and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be bringing a ton more VR game reviews and hardware reviews in the coming weeks, so make sure you drop a like, subscribe, join my Discord, which is in the description, and I will see you guys in the next one.